What did you say, Dean?
Okay, so,
We'll start our meeting first.
Yeah, Gray is getting you up on the big board here. And then we'll start the meeting. We have to call roll and pledge allegiance, and then we can turn it over to you. Okay. Okay, so welcome to the City of Laconia Conservation Commission meeting Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. I'm Dean Anson.
Deb Williams.
Dan Huberman.
Jen Kreitzer.
Pete Nagel.
Come on, Gray.
And I am Gray Draper. I will be doing the minutes today.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So Gray is calling you up on the big screen,
Yep. She is all set to
But-
start.
but she's like a thumbnail. Oh, here she comes.
Ah, yes.
Still pretty small.
There you are. Hi, Sarah.
Hi guys.
We
So
can
great
see
to
you
see
now.
you. Thank you. Yay, perfect. I was also playing around with my screen options too, so I have you all as
Oh,
my
wow.
big screen
Okay.
also. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Is it okay that I'm going before some of your other agenda
Yes.
items that
Yes.
you have?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
so
That's
Sarah-
so kind of you.
Okay, so Sarah is the project manager for the natural resource inventory that FB Environmental is doing for the city. So it's all yours.
Thanks, Dean, for the introduction. I actually was hoping that we could maybe go around and do introductions again. I had you guys super small, so I couldn't see
Oh, okay.
faces and names. If that's okay, and if we have
Okay,
time.
so
But yeah, I was thinking.
We'll go from Deb.
Deb Williams.
I'm Dean Anson.
Dan Huberman.
Jen Kreitzer.
Nagel.
Gray Draper.
Perfect.
Gray's behind the
awesome. Perfect. Well, hi, I'm Sarah Sullivan. I work at FB Environmental. Thanks for the introduction, Dean. I'm based out of Dover, New Hampshire, and I believe you guys are familiar with other folks here at FBE from our watershed management and water quality division, like Laura Deemer, Christine Bunyan, and Evan Ma. I know that Evan's working on the Paugus Bay project currently. A little bit about myself. I'm a New Hampshire certified wetland scientist. I have a strong background in state and federal wetlands permitting. And then here at FBE, I do also these broader NRI projects. I've worked on several NRI analysis projects, so these like supplemental studies to supplement the townwide NRI. I've worked on property-based, field-based in natural resource inventories where we go to a property and we document the different habitat types, document the different cover types, document wetlands, uplands, surface waters, etc. Like the natural resources physically at a property, as well as town-wide NRIs, which are more coined for their like town-wide kind of encyclopedia of all natural resources. So I've worked on all those types of projects. Not with me today, but working on this project with us is Christine Bunyan. She's going to serve the capacity and role as GIS specialist, and she's going to be leading the co-occurrence analysis that I'll get into a little bit more later. So for our kickoff meeting, I was thinking that we could go do an overview of the project, that I'll run through our scope and tasks objectives that we'll be accomplishing with this project, touch upon timeline, and touch upon an example project so that you guys can get a feel and understanding for what this supplemental analysis project will look like. Then go to the timeline and then talk about next steps. Alrighty, so I guess I've been trying to use the phrase NRI analysis for this project rather than just an NRI. So I'm going to try to continue using the phrase NRI analysis. The goal of this project is to identify areas of high environmental and ecological value that should be left undeveloped. When I was reviewing the RFP and way back in March, I think, of last year, I was talking with Dean, and it sounds like the commission has this goal of protecting places that shouldn't be developed. And so we need to understand what are those areas that are high environmental and ecological value. And what I mean by high environmental and ecological value are hotspots of natural resources, a density of natural resources in the city. And then from that goal, I understand that the city wants to have a tool that they can reference when projects come in for your review, when the commission is planning different conservation efforts, when the city's doing strategic planning. And so the goal of this project is to develop a resource and tool for you all to reference when those types of activities happen. And that our approach in doing this is called a co-occurrence analysis, which I think I see that Grayson has my methods co-occurrence slide up. Is that true?
I do. There we go.
Perfect. So I wanted to include this reference to describe what a co-occurrence analysis is. A co-occurrence analysis is a geospatial analysis, so done in GIS, that uses various data layers. So in the image, it's showing wellhead protection areas, wetlands, surface waters, and aquifers, that GIS data. It overlays them, and that it does an intersection analysis to identify areas that overlap to find those high density areas, meaning there's multiple types of resources in that spatial area. So I guess to take maybe a step back, the steps of doing a co-occurrence analysis are first collect the GIS data that we want to use. Do you mind toggling, Gray, to my next slide?
Yeah.
We're going to do a little toggle back and forth. Perfect. So say we're going to collect these natural resource data layers. So, for example, wetlands, water bodies, designated water bodies, shoreline protection zones, flood zones, groundwater areas, etc. These different natural resource areas that are important to the city of Laconia. Then if you, I guess, toggle back to the first slide, the first PDF page, please. We take those layers and, for example, the wellhead protection area square at the top of the visualization, say that there's a wellhead protection area that receives a score of 1. And then if there isn't a wellhead protection area in a certain spatial location of town, it receives a 0. And that when we layer so like every data, when data exists, like there's a wetland in this area, it gets a 1. If there's no wetlands, it gets a 0. So that when you overlay all of those data and combine them together, you then get a score that represents that density of resources. And I have a better visual of what that means. I think it's my fourth PDF page. Perfect. So this is the result of a co-occurrence analysis we completed for the town of Lee, and how I was describing overlapping those data layers to get that high density area. Those areas on this map are shown in the warm colors, so red, orange, and yellow. And so in this project example, the Oyster River, which is near the top of the map, became evident that that was a high density, high ecological environmental value area for this project. So that's representing high value, high density natural resource areas. And so our plan for our project is to pull a variety of natural resource data layers. I'll come back to you all so that we can talk about those data layers, make sure that we agree like it's important to include wetlands, it's important to include surface waters, your drinking water protection zones, et cetera, so that we are on the same page about what are those high environmental and ecological value natural resources are to go into the co-occurrence analysis. And then the end result will be a map similar to this. But this example, Lee was focused more on drinking water, so we didn't use as many data layers as I expect we'll use for our project. So let me pause there because a co-occurrence analysis can be a little tricky to comprehend. So let me pause there to see if you guys have any questions so far on the project goal and this approach of using a co-occurrence analysis.
Anybody have any questions?
So the co-occurrence that you're talking about here are all water features, or?
My example for Lee was water features, but I imagine we're going to use all sorts of natural resource data for Laconia, since our question is what are the highest ecological and environmental value areas that we want to protect from development. So I don't think we won't limit it just to water resources.
So it could be water plus a certain forest type or soil type.
Exactly.
Would we include, groundwater overlay, like a overlay protection area?
That's definitely on my list to present to you guys as a data layer to include. I think we're going to have a pretty long list of data layers because our goal is to include all of the high value natural resources in the city, rather than my example project had a subset focus on drinking water.
So is there a chance that the data layers for certain areas of the city don't apply? Like if, as an example, and this is a bad example, downtown, we would not look at forested areas because there are no forested areas, but there are other data layers that we would have there.
Yeah, I think that we would want to talk about if there's certain zones or sections of the city that you would like excluded because they already are highly developed. But I do anticipate that to be reflected in the data itself. But it makes sense to talk about, hey, does this make sense that it's showing forest in a pretty highly developed area?
The way that you develop it, the data sources that you use, could you just step through that real quick?
Sure, yeah. So we will be using already available GIS data. So I bet you're all familiar with Natural Wetland, NWI, the National Wetland Inventory data for wetlands. We'll be using the National Hydrography Data Set, data for surface waters and water bodies. So we'll be using already existing data, shapefiles and data layers to put into the co-occurrence analysis. But as I started digging into your existing documents and thinking about the different types of forests or maybe the different types of soils that are more important to Laconia, there's data out there that I think we can put more focus on than saying all soil types are of high value. So for example, in your 2009 NRI, it talked about deciduous forests and the softwood forests being super important to Laconia because of the type of habitat they are for wildlife. So I would think that we would want to pull out that type of forest type and put emphasis on that in the co-occurrence analysis.
And
But we'll definitely, I was thinking that we would pull all the data and that I would come back to another meeting and that we could talk through those data layers together so we could get a better sense of if everything has equal importance or if we wanted to put more weight or more importance on certain resources. But step one would be to collect those data layers, present them to you all so that we could then talk about them.
How current is the data?
That's a good question. We can make sure to check the metadata so we can share how current the data is. But you're right, that desktop level data does have limitations in how often it's updated, things like that.
So after you look at specific layers, you're going to assign a value to those?
We could keep it simple and just say that every when a resource is present, it gets a value of 1. Or what I'm envisioning is that we'll meet and discuss the data layers and decide if there's certain resources in town that you would like to put a higher weight, so a multiplier, so that that type of resource, how do I say it? Boosts the value, meaning there's more emphasis on protecting it. But that would be a discussion with you all on like, is it all natural resources have equal value? So we just are going to give them a 1 because they're present, or if there are certain resources that we want to emphasize further.
Like the good fishing areas.
Exactly. One thing that came to mind for me was emphasis on drinking water resources. I'm not sure if that's something that we would want to weight higher or not. But I'm envisioning that I would bring kind of those ideas to you all at a meeting, to another meeting.
Okay. So when you come up with these layers, you're going to submit periodic written reports that would say, these are the layers that I've identified. These are the values I have added to those. What do you think?
I was thinking that we would do all of our data FBE would do all of the data collection, so compile the layers. A great suggestion about giving you guys a little bit more metadata. So what is the date of when was it last updated? So I'm picturing FBE collecting all of our data layers, sending you guys an email, and then setting up a meeting to meet and talking through if things should be weighted or not. Or if you wanted to give me initial feedback before we met, that could work too. But I'm definitely picturing we'll compile it, provide you the list of data layers we're thinking of considering. You guys can review it and say, oh, actually, no, I think it's really important if we, vernal pools, for example, I saw from the '09 report that consultant at that time had collected a vernal pool layer. So if you guys had that layer available and I didn't include it in our list, that would be great feedback of saying, no, actually, we need to include our vernal pool layer, for example.
So one of the things I wanted to understand is what you're going to do using available GIS data versus, we have the contents from the NRI from 2022, and which of those topics are you not going to cover so that we can do it? Because we might look at it saying, to have a complete NRI, we feel that we need to have these other pieces of information, like identifying where vernal pools are, the specific locations.
Okay. Yeah. Great question, Dean, and thank you for bringing up this opportunity to maybe clarify. I'm viewing that this NRI analysis project is a supplement to the townwide NRI document, and that not necessarily, FBE is not updating any of those sections to the NRI report. This project is to utilize the information in the NRI report that's identifying these important natural resources in Laconia to inform the analysis, but our scope does not include time to update any sections in the townwide NRI report. So if you all were looking to update sections, that would be a different project, a different scope. And we'd be happy to help with that, if you'd like.
Okay, okay. Yeah, then I guess one of the things, so you've worked on other, like Lee and other NRIs. Is there one that you think stands out in terms of quality that we could use as a model for what we wanted to see?
The full NRI report, the
Right.
townwide NRI report. Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to send some examples of recent reports. I think we just submitted the final draft, so I'll have to ask the PM, but we've worked on one in Moulton Borough recently, an updated NRI for Moulton Borough. And then our most recent NRI, townwide NRI report that we've done in the Seacoast is for Hampton Falls. So those would be the two examples that I would send your way if I can send you the Moulton Borough one.
That would be great. That would be great, because the 2009 was done by consultants, outside consultants. They did the whole thing. The 22 version was done in-house. And so we thought that was pretty good. And now we're going to like the next level. Because one of the things
Okay.
we have to do is how do we convince the city that certain areas need to be preserved? They need to be undeveloped. And so, anyway, okay.
And I think this project, the NRI analysis, really helps get at what you just said, Dean, was you'll have a resource. You're going to have this map of high density natural resource areas that are of high environmental and ecological value to reference and say, nope, that development is in this high value, high priority area. We've done this methodology, that we have a report that describes the methodology saying how we got to the point of saying these are high value areas. We need to hold off on developing them. That's the goal of this project.
Great. Okay, anybody have any other questions?
Is there a town that's taken your report and done good things with it that you could point us to see what we might try to follow?
Sure, yeah. Hampton, New Hampshire comes to mind. I think it's already been 2 years ago that we finished the NRI, the townwide NRI report document. Brianna Hagan is their environmental coordinator there. And just staying in touch with her, it sounds like they're working on projects that have been inspired by their NRI. So she would be somebody that I would put you in touch with. I don't have any examples off the top of my head of what they've done since their NRI. I would have to touch base with her.
No, that would be good. Just maybe how they prioritized your report and how they went about doing it, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to make a connection between maybe Dean and Brianna, and that you guys could talk about it.
Sounds good.
Does that work? Yeah? Okay.
So the data you're using is more up to date than what the 22 was based on?
So far, what I've seen going through, so one of my tasks is to do a high level review of the 09 and 22 NRI documents. And there has been a newer wildlife action plan. It actually just came out at the beginning of this year. So the wildlife action plan wildlife data will be more current than what was used in 2022. I'd have to, during our data pulling together the data layers, I'll make note of what other layers would be more current than 2022, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Okay, so,
Oh, did she freeze?
no, no.
No,
Oh, sorry, I was taking a note. Did I look like I froze? That's so funny.
Why don't you go ahead and go on?
Okay, perfect. Grayson, would you mind going to the page 6, which is my scope of work? Perfect, thank you. All right, so we've kind of already teased some of these elements, but I thought I would step through our scope of work and the tasks that I'll be executing. So first up is the review of the existing NRI documents. So my plan is to go through the 2009 and 2022 townwide NRI reports to pull out information for areas that have already been identified as high environmental or ecological value so that we can fold that into our analysis. And I've already started doing that, and I'm all the way through the 09 report, but need to finish reviewing the 2022 report. Our next task is to complete the co-occurrence analysis and mapping. As I've already mentioned, step 1 is to compile those natural resource data layers into a list, and I love the idea of providing you guys that extra metadata of like how current is that data. So compile that list and the metadata, meet with you all so that we can review the data that we're going to pull into the analysis and talk about the scores, the weighting of it, and then to actually run the co-occurrence analysis. Also part of this task is to produce that static map that I showed you the Lee example of, as well as you all will receive the shape file of the co-occurrence analysis so that you can, I see that you guys have an Access GIS mapper, or if you guys have any other mappers that you can pull that data into, that's a way that you'll be able to cross-reference those priority areas, those hotspot areas. So once we're done with the co-occurrence analysis and mapping, if you go to the next page, Grayson, we are scoped to do a summary report. And what will be in the summary report is a summary of the methods, so the co-occurrence analysis and documentation on if we weight certain natural resources higher than the other, as well as highlighting the areas that become evident as being high priority areas in Laconia. So I'm picturing that I'll do a description summary for these certain areas in town that have that high density area so that you guys have a reference to where they are, those resources that are present that made it a high priority area, things like that. So a summary report on methods and those high priority areas. And then meetings like this. We've included up to 3 meetings with you all to brainstorm, to kick the project off, to discuss the co-occurrence analysis methodology a little bit better, and to present you our final deliverable. I do envision inviting Christine to join me for our next meeting where we're going to talk about the data layers and the co-occurrence analysis, as she is the guru and specialist in GIS. So I think she'll be able to describe the co-occurrence analysis process again to you all, which I think will be really great to come from her. And then our scope of work, the RFP had included an optional task of field investigations. We currently aren't scoped or budgeted to do field investigations, but a potential next step from this project is to go out to those high priority areas and field verify some of this desktop level data, or if the commission knows of an area in town that the co-occurrence analysis doesn't highlight or focus on, but you know that it is a critical high ecological area in the city, that would maybe be another recommendation for a location to do a field investigation so that we can collect more of that data to mark it as a high priority area. So yeah, that is our scope of work. Review the NRI documents, compile the desktop data, run the co-occurrence analysis, produce the map, and write a summary report and meet with you all. How does that sound?
Good.
Good? Okay. And then last on my list was just to touch upon timeline to get your feedback. Originally, the RFP mentioned a 12-month timeline. And I guess I don't anticipate that we'll necessarily need to take 12 months. Christine and I both are excited to dig into this project. So what I guess I'm proposing is that we could aim to complete the project by June or July. So that would be condensing it down to 6 months, but maybe leaving wiggle room and flexibility that if things come up and it's difficult to meet, like we're having a hard time to find a time to meet, or, you know, we need a little bit more time on the report, things like that. Like leaving room for flexibility, but I'm putting it out there that I think Christine and I can accomplish this project over the course of the next 6 months. And that I'm picturing the timeline going kind of as follows. I started reviewing the existing materials in January. I'm planning to finish that up this week. We've had our kickoff meeting now in February. I'm anticipating that Christine and I are going to work on identifying those data layers, compiling and gathering that data, pulling together a table so that we can then present those natural resource layers to you all. Planning on doing that in February. And then with the goal to come back to you guys at the end of February, early March to discuss those data layers and to discuss possibly weighting the data layers. So end of February, early March to come back and meet with you all. And that in March, Christine would go ahead and perform the co-occurrence analysis so that in the April-May timeframe, we'll have the results of the co-occurrence analysis to talk about with you all. So April-May, we're hoping to have the analysis done, and then, you know, reporting might take, we could work on the reporting soon after that, or if we need more time to talk about the analysis results, we could take the time to do that. But with the goal of possibly completing June, July timeframe. How's your winter looking, I guess I should ask? Does this sound like a good project to focus on over the next couple of months? Do you guys have the capacity and interest to kind of keep this moving along this winter?
Absolutely.
I think we're eager to get going. And I think that the thing we need to do is we need to look at what are the things that we need to do. So as an example, one of the things that somebody in the commission came up with as an idea last meeting was to engage the public by using iNaturalist. And so, so we're in the process of planning that part of the project where we would ask the public to use iNaturalist to go out and gather information, and then we can kind of tie that information to what you've done, because now we have real data, quote unquote real data. And I think that at this point, the plan is to have a kind of a kickoff meeting for iNaturalist in April, to teach people how to use iNaturalist. And then, by then, it'll be, hopefully, some of the snow will be gone, so we can see stuff. And so your timeline of April, May for analysis, and then a report in June, I would hope we'd have a lot of, kind of hands-on, hard data for that June, July timeframe, using
Okay.
iNaturalist.
Okay.
We're-
Yeah, if we do the co-occurrence analysis in March, we wouldn't necessarily be able to fold in data from iNaturalist, but we could overlay it or present it with the co-occurrence map. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds great, because then we can look at those areas and we can say, okay, so we need to go to this area and we need to use iNaturalist to gather data.
Oh, perfect. I like that order as well, of using the co-occurrence analysis to help inform where you suggest people go out to.
Right.
Awesome. I love that idea.
Okay.
Great. Well, I'm glad that the timeline sounds good to you guys. We're also really excited to work on this project and to get more in the weeds on the data. I guess I didn't realize that I've already taken up a decent amount of your time. So I guess with that, my next steps are to finish reviewing the 2022 report, to pull out information to fold into our NRI analysis, pulling together those data layers into a table so that I can share it with you all. And then I guess in the meantime, if you continue to think about where are those priority areas that you guys all know of, because you know Laconia better than anybody, and next time that we meet or sending them to Dean to connect with me, please share those areas in town or those specific types of natural resources that are high value to you and high value to the city, so that I can integrate that also into our data layers.
Okay, I think we can do that.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, next steps are compiling the data, and I'll let Dean know how that's going, and provide the table so that you all can look it over, and then we'll figure out which of your monthly meetings make sense for Christine and I to come back to.
Okay, we meet the first and third Wednesdays of each month.
That's perfect. That's great. I love that it gives me 2 opportunities to see you guys a month. Awesome. Okay.
Anybody have
Well,
anything else?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Okay, thanks. You have a good night. Very cool. Hey, that's nice. We going there? Is that downtown
I know.
Laconia? Oh,
Field trip.
yeah, field trip. We're going there. We're going there to write the report. We got to get out of town, otherwise we're going to be distracted. Okay, so what were people's comments or ideas or?
I think the one thing that concerns me with that shorter timeline is if there are some field studies needed. We want to do it in April or May after, the snow is melted, especially for vernal pools or, I was thinking it would be nice, since she's a wetland scientist, if she could go out to the wetlands by Pickerel Pond. And if they were mapped out, then we could have them designated prime. That would be, it would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, basically.
So is Pickerel Pond, when you say mapped out, it's not fully mapped?
the specific wetlands that, so if you look at a map, which, you know, once again, every time I look at the NRI, it's like, oh, I forgot about that, I forgot about that. But there's Pickerel Pond, and then to the south of it is a large wetland, but it's actually pretty far south. It's not like right there. I mean, to me, it looked like it was right across the road. And I think maybe that's part of it, part of the stream or what that comes down by the rookery. But there's a larger wetland like behind there. And I don't know if it has been mapped out to the degree that we need to be so that we can request that it's prime wetlands, because you have to do that to the state, with the state.
So I think that to have a goal of having this designated a prime wetland is, I think we're putting a cart before the horse. I think what we need to do is the developer for the Pickerel Pond site. So, you know, Pickerel Pond's down here, and this development is taking place up here, and the road comes down in between. And this area up here was created, that wetland was created by beavers, making dams and different levels, right? I mean, you
Still
live
is.
there. Right.
Still is.
So the developer is gonna come in the next couple of meetings, and he's gonna have to have those wetlands mapped.
But they're not all on his property, I don't think, right? I thought the majority of it was someone else's property.
Well, it depends on where you're, I mean, there's so many wetlands on, like, over there, like, I guess it depends on which ones you're referring to.
So I agree with the philosophy of designating it prime wetland, but that, you know, that's like, after we get all this other information, that's what our objective is, but.
What does it mean, a prime wetland?
It just means it has a greater protection available to it. The setbacks are further, and, you know, it's state recognized as,
How does one become a prime wetland? I mean, what do you-
there's like steps by steps, and it's, you know, you have to have it, the area outlined by a wetland scientist. It has to be,
I see.
you know, a certain size, I think. The steps are right online.
Yeah, I think they have to designate, like, the specific functions and values and
Right.
Okay,
Right.
size and.
so I can just go online and read about it.
But I know, you know, and I never really thought about it until Mr. McLaughlin from Guilford. He was the one that was like, you guys need to, you know, have that designated, have that really, you know, cordoned off so that, you know, nobody can encroach on that, because it's a really important wetlands.
And,
So-
and
I think it was in the last natural resources chapter too.
the prime wetland, yeah, that was one of the goals of the natural resource section of
Right.
that chapter in the master plan.
Right.
So, Pickerel Pond wetland is partially in Laconia and partially in Meredith. So the Meredith side is designated prime wetland.
Okay,
We're all connected here.
I got, it's the same body.
Right, right. So it would make sense.
But that's not the area of where the development would be,
No, that's right.
but it's still wetlands. A lot of wetlands and beavers.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be recognized and protected.
What more information do you need to see? Like what kind of mapping or what?
It needs to be mapped by a wetland scientist. And I was like, well, maybe she could do it while she's trudging around, but I don't know how much is involved in it.
I think what we need to do is we need to ask her that question.
If Meredith is already designated, you can't use that study at all?
No, we have to do our own thing, unfortunately. sadly.
And that costs lots of money to do, I guess.
I mean, it costs some money. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if we could get permission from the landowner. I mean, that's the other part of it. If they aren't willing to let the wetland scientist in, it's not gonna matter, but. Anyway,
So, when, when FB Environmental submitted their proposal, my concern was exactly what she just explained. They're doing GIS. That's what they're using, existing data. And then your question, Peter, was, what's the age of the data is really good. That's really good. But my concern is in terms of writing, like, I thought that I think the 2022 NRI is good. I think it's good. And I think there are parts of it we don't need to do anything with, like topography and geology, not a whole
soil
lot's
type,
changed.
yeah, that's all.
Soils, probably don't need to do anything. But there's, it's like scenic resources. They're not gonna show that. We need to do that. So it's like, they're going to do a part of this, and we're gonna have to do the rest. And so it's, how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna do it? So it's, anyway, so I think that, they're not gonna be able to identify the exact location of vernal pools. We know where they are. We know where a lot of them are, probably 9 or 10.
Right. I thought that was interesting that there's 23 listed in that 22 report. And then, but the one before that, it was like, Laconia has no vernal pools. It was like, that was the one in 2009, right?
Yeah, but that was, the one that was done in 2009 was actually more field-based. The consultants actually went out into the field and looked at different areas, and we went with them. And they were like, okay, so here's a major important area. 2022, we didn't really go out into the field as much as we just used existing data. So I think this is an update. I'm glad that she mentioned that the Wildlife Action Plan was just updated and released. That was prepared by the state. So that's going to be, that's another thing that'll bring this NRI up to date. And I think using iNaturalist is another way it'll be brought up to date. So I think the way we're gonna have to do iNaturalist is we're gonna have to divide up the city and go and do like, okay, we're going to Pickerel Pond today and we're gonna, see what we find, take pictures of it. So you know how iNaturalist works? So you take pictures of stuff. Like, oh, here's a frog, I saw this frog. And you take a picture of it and you say, oh, I think that's a green frog. And you upload it into iNaturalist, which is an application on your phone. And then experts look at it and they say, oh, that's not a green frog, that's a wood frog. So it's a way to validate the data, and the way that I talked to Prescott Farm the other day about how we would do this, you can set up projects. So the project would be Laconia. And any picture that's taken in Laconia that is submitted to iNaturalist goes into that project. So as an example, Prescott Farm has 729 photographs that they have taken in Laconia, quote unquote, in Laconia. all those pictures would be put into our project. I have ones that I took, be put in. So it's a way of gathering data, and I think asking the public to help us is a great idea. Because
So-
now we got many hands.
So does the location automatically go in as well?
The location, the date, and the identification of it. You do plants and animals. Actually, you do more than that. I've submitted mushrooms, and they do mushrooms. They do, so you get a wide variety of living organisms, let's put it that way.
So people actually look at this to identify it, it's not AI or something?
And people look at it, experts look at it, you know? And they might have a debate, oh, I think that's a green frog, no, it's not, it's a wood frog. Look at the coloration on the left finger of that frog, that's,
Very cool.
So if you said that there's some things that this study's not gonna cover that we need to, what's the can you just make the list? You know, you guys know better. Like, what are the things? You mentioned the scenic views.
okay.
What-
For instance, they're not gonna do scenic resources.
Right, what are some of the other, like, can you make the list included or not included? And then we
I-
could look at,
Yeah, I didn't make the list, I went through the contents from 2022 and just wrote down the contents. And I think, Gray, didn't you put the 2022?
Yeah.
It's,
on
it's,
the-
Attached the
it's in here,
agenda.
so
Yeah.
you can read it and, it's like, I think all of us can look at it and say, well, we should do this. We should identify, because what happens is projects come to us, like Pickle Pond's gonna come to us, and we learn something from it. Like, we had a project up on, Woodvale? Woodvale came and they said, oh, well, we got this wetland here and that. We said, is it a vernal pool? And they said, no, it's, actually, they said, yes, it's a vernal pool. And they're like, oh, great. So then they were like, oh, no, we thought that was like, anyway, so it's, I'll show you what, so anyway, I think we need to go through the contents and decide, is the 2022 the format that we want the 2026, natural resource inventory to look like?
okay,
Or do we want, and we can go to Hampton Beach, whatever it was, Hampton Bay, Hampton Falls.
Hampton.
And go to Hampton Falls, look at theirs, and say, this is what we're shooting for, this kind of a report. And then it's like, okay, so now what do we need to do to make that? And then there may be, I think that one of the advantages of having a consultant do what they're gonna do is it adds validity. It's not like, we got these crazy conservation people that don't want any more building.
Right, yeah.
It's true.
So Gray, on the 22 report,
Yep.
there is an overlay or on the map, it shows roughly where the 23 vernal pools are
These are the ones that
in the city.
Do you know which page it's on? Which number it is?
It was towards the end where they
Okay.
had the different maps.
You can just go
See
out
if I
there.
can pull it. Oh, yeah, maps 49.
That's fabulous.
Do
Is
we have GIS
iNaturalist or
coordinates of those,
iNaturalist
or do you know?
Let's see, I'm looking at subwatersheds, farmland soil, forestry topsoil, conservation lands, oh,
Water resources is page 50.
50?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's free. Yeah, it's a bargain at twice the price.
Oh, here we go. Perfect. Are you asking if this map is on file anywhere else? I think it lives within this NRI document.
So there's no overlay that tells you exactly where those vernal pools are?
I'm not sure. That would be a question for our GIS specialist who's over at DPW.
Okay.
I can call and ask him if he has one.
I mean,
Um,
somehow they got them on this map, so,
Right. So I don't know. Maybe that's FB has their own layers.
But
Because they're who generated this, or they must have pulled it from metadata, since I'm assuming they use the same methods as they're using this time back in 2022 and 21.
well,
Where
no,
the
well,
polling-
this was done by, what was her name?
Oh wait, this was in-house.
This
Yeah,
is
this
Right.
was in-house,
2021, or which
Is that
one?
Taylor?
22,
I mean, 22
yeah,
has the vernal pool
yeah,
documented?
Do you mean this?
I think it's,
Map?
it's this one.
Page 50.
It's page
Page
50
50.
of the,
But to do the report, there has to be like a ton of data somewhere.
Right.
Is there a way we can see that data?
I'd be interested, so. Let me ask around the office tomorrow. I'll talk to Rob and Tyler and find out who actually wrote this.
well, it was.
Oh, it was Taylor Daigle.
It was
Yeah, it was
Taylor? Okay.
Taylor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
so.
was thinking the name was in there somewhere. but-
Yeah. I'm not sure what resources she used, but it should outline it in her methods above in the NRI. So I will.
She might
look her
have
out tomorrow.
data files and more intense maps than,
Yeah,
What-
and she has this whole cited resources, so I could poke around there. They have all the maps and departments. It looks like she pulled from. So
That would be great to find that out.
page 48 and 47.
and if they have GIS surveys, are they already handing those over to?
Right. Because if it was Taylor, so she worked at the city, so she probably would have coordinated with the GIS specialist at DPW and be using city maps. So hopefully we should already have all the maps that are in this 2022 NRI in our possession. Just a matter of figuring out which ones they are and accessing them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be a fun day to
a fun week. Yeah.
just go dig through it.
And Taylor's available. She's, still-
Right. Even better. Yeah. So
we could call her and
I'll have
ask.
to see if I have her contact information.
I have it.
Okay, perfect. I might be calling you then. So,
Okay.
yeah, because I don't think I have it at my desk. But. All right.
I think when we call her, we need to be respectful of the fact that the company that she worked for submitted a proposal to do this update of the NRI and did not get the work.
Okay. Good. Hey, good tip.
To my uneducated eye, when I read through this looks pretty thorough, the 22.
Oh, I think she did a great job, and she's a good writer, so,
Yeah.
so,
So did I understand what? I believe I understand what Sarah was saying. She was saying this contract and project is for an analysis of the NRI, not for them to write the NRI itself. Okay, just wanted to
Right.
clarify that. Okay.
so now,
Now Dean's gonna write the NRI after.
Well, I don't think we need to change that much from the 2022.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
looks
if we're
like-
updating data and if we're updating maps, that's one thing, but it is pretty thorough, and like you say, a lot of it doesn't change, geology and
Yeah.
soils and stuff.
I think, so I had a good conversation with Tyler today. You know who Tyler is? So Tyler Carmichael is the assistant director
Assistant planner, yeah.
of the planning department. And I said, I'm frustrated by this whole, we're redoing the master plan, great, but these developers are out there and they're doing their thing, and we're trying to develop a new master plan, and it's like working in warm jello. It's like, can we call for a moratorium on building? And he said, no, 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 no. He said the way to do it, and I thought this was really great suggestion, the way to do it is to sit down with the developer. So the guy who comes in for White Oaks Road, or the guy who comes in for Pickerel Pond, and we explain to him what we're trying to accomplish. We're not trying to punish you and saying you can't develop the whole site. What we're trying to do is we're trying to preserve natural resources, and we're asking you to work with us so that instead of flattening everything and building, paving it and, would you be willing to set aside a portion and leave it undeveloped? But it's literally that interaction with the developer before they get the total approval for their project.
Before they buy the property. Before they buy the property.
Well, yeah, but we're not necessarily going to get it. It's like the guy who owns the property on White Oaks Road that, first he wanted to put in condos, and then he went to a campground, and both of those were denied.
Yep.
But he's got some idea on what he wants to do, and he's the same guy that's doing Pickerel Pond, and he's doing the surf coaster over on Endicott and White Oaks Road, and maybe one other piece of property. But Tyler's suggestion was to meet with them and to talk to them about what we're trying to accomplish, and see if he is willing to, push in the same direction.
Sounds like a good idea. Especially with the Pickerel Pond project coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in that application, he's saying that the development will be up close to the road and the rest will be left 120 plus acres. And he has it written in the application that it'll be open space, but that would be like something you could talk to him about. It'd be like, hey, instead of open space, what if you left all the trees and vegetation up and didn't cut it?
Right.
So,
But the other part of that is, in order for him to get cluster development approval, he has to have a certain amount of property that he sets aside into open space.
Yep.
So, anyway, so it's, I think Tyler's suggestion was really good. Sit down and explain what your philosophy is. We're not here to punish anyone. We're trying to preserve the flavor of our city.
So if somebody like him comes in and wants to develop a certain area, is there any tax advantage or advantage that he has by saying, okay, I'll designate this conservation land, or?
Yeah.
So that is something we can use, is?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because he gets it, if you put it into conservation, your taxes are reduced. That's the good news. The bad news is if you want to take it out of conservation and develop it in the future, depending on the arrangement that you have in putting it into conservation, when you take it out, you got to pay all the taxes that you avoided, and you got to pay a penalty. So that's how we get our conservation funds. Is half of that goes to the Conservation Commission, the other half goes into the city general fund, or whatever it's called.
Reading through, I think it was the 22 one today, there are a lot of places on Parade Road and Meredith Center Road that are R2, which is like a rural residential. So technically, they can't develop anything. It has to be 400 feet off the road or whatever, so that there's still some kind of scenic value. Is that, I don't know, is that one of the reasons why he was denied the campground and
So
stuff?
the campground was denied
I mean, I know,
For like 3 reasons. Three of the criteria the board found that they did not meet.
plus all the abutters were against it.
Everybody was up in arms.
Yeah, they were not for it. A lot of people, I think the board cited that they felt that a campground would not be an appropriate use of that land and that location, especially on White Oaks.
There
Yeah,
were, like density issues too.
yeah, there were a lot of issues were discussed.
With the what?
Density.
Okay.
So there's a lot of issues are discussed amongst the board, but like when I put together the minutes, I can only cite the ones that, well, I cite all the issues that were brought up by the public and the board, but the motion itself that can be legally, appealed or challenged has to be the criteria that the board member is reading off of when they make the motion. So they list the criteria for the reason they did not meet it and they'll be denying it. So those are the reason that, like when the city lawyer or council comes in, they're like, okay, these are the reasons that you gave that it was denied. So I think it was mostly changing the character of the neighborhood, safety concerns, and also an increase in calls to fire and PD. So those were the 3 reasons. So a lot of people asked and offered feedback that they would be amendable to putting single-family homes on the lot. But I believe the developer had said that that was one of their original proposals, but it was going to be too expensive because with doing single-family roads, you have to put, or homes, you have to put it in a road that meets state or city standards. That's significantly more expensive than doing like campground roads, which could be gravel and all this stuff. So for whatever reason, they did not go with that application. They went with the campground and it did not get approved. So it's true.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda here, because we gotta do the minutes from. Okay, so the minutes from January 21st. Anybody have any comments?
Yes. Under 7.3, it talked about, I think it's like the third sentence. Once the commission gets back the NRI, that information will help write the natural resource section. That should be,
W, okay.
yes. And then there was, the last sentence made no sense to me. First of all, Dean's name is
Anso.
incorrect.
Okay.
It was the starting of a longer word.
Also asked commissioners to send staff area that are special and should be conserved.
Yeah.
So, maybe he meant areas. I'll ask him about it.
What did you mean?
What did I mean? I think what I meant was, as we go around the city, we see certain areas that, for me personally, I really like this area and I think it should be preserved. And so as we do, as we go around, I think it would be helpful to everybody if we identified those. So it'd be like, oh, Dean thinks this is a good area. Deb has hers, and each person has, for some reason, I love this view. This is a scenic road. So I just thought that if what we did is, as we go around the city, we identified certain areas that were important, we thought were important, and then we can investigate. We can go do iNaturalist, and find out what's going on, or look at it in terms of, okay, so why do you think this is important? Well, one time I saw a bobcat here, so I think it's really important and we should leave it. So, whatever our personal experience was when we go past that. I mean, I have some areas that I was driving over to Meredith on Sunday morning and, going on Route 3, and you come up over this hill and you can see all the way, it's perfectly clear, you can see all the way to Mount Washington. And I was like, oh, God, I love this view. It's not Laconia, but that's what the details, not yet. Maybe we could take it over.
So anywhere there's trees, basically?
No, I think that would be, for you, that's a really important criterion. And so for you to say, I love this area because of the density of the trees, that's a legitimate reason. And when we start identifying those, and then we start to give them to Sarah, and she says, oh, yeah, well, we did, GIS says this about this area. So yes, you're right, that is important.
And I mean, I think, we've talked about it before. I know Deb mentioned it. This was like a long time ago, but I think it came up with that section of land that the city currently owns that's across from like Ahern, across from the entrance to Ahern,
Yeah.
right?
Go
I know-
on the end of Old North Main.
Yeah, because I know we talked about before about that being like a wildlife corridor.
Right.
And I know it was mentioned somewhere. I feel like I've read so many documents at this point that I'm not sure where things are. I know, I actually was reading the, I guess this isn't the most, the 2009, the natural resources chapter in the master plan was in the 2007 master plan, so I don't know what the NRI is from, that's in this. You, Dean? You don't know?
I don't know. I don't know what it's from.
I like it. I mean, I like how it's laid out, but,
Which one are you looking at?
this is the natural resources chapter from the 2007 master plan.
Oh.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that one too.
it's a little different because it's the natural resources chapter versus like the full NRI, I think. I don't-
Right.
I don't really know, but,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, one of the things that they noted in here was, one of the things that comes up a lot in here is also about, education and awareness, which we talk about all the time, so. But I think it was, it said, one of the actions was develop a system of trails for passive recreation that complement preservation of critical natural areas, wildlife habitat, and scenic vistas. So, I know, like, just that's something that we've talked about before, just like the wildlife corridors, and I don't know, I mean, I haven't looked at the newest wildlife action plan, so I don't know where that's gonna fit in, but I'm sure that's gonna inform a lot of what we're reviewing too.
And that's available, the 2007 master plan, how did you get to it? Is
Just
it online?
on the Laconia website, I'm not
Okay.
sure which
No, I could
section
find
I was in, but,
master plan.
so, yeah, I think I might have just.
I like to Google Laconia and then whatever I'm looking for, and it usually pops up on Google.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But I agree with you. It is difficult to navigate some parts of the website, but,
It's just learning
yeah, I know,
what we can see and not see,
and
and
remembering.
how to get to it.
Yeah. There's a ton of information, but.
Okay, so we're.
I'll make
we're-
a motion that we accept the minutes.
Something, yeah, that we
with-
just
Thank
got
you.
off track.
Yeah, I know,
Why
we
are
all
here
did.
again?
The minutes from January 21st, 2026, with the corrections.
I'll second that.
Okay, anybody have any additional comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Okay,
So the homework is priority areas in the
I think that's right. I think if we can start looking for those, and then maybe each person say, I'll go walk that one. So, yeah, so priority areas, that's a good idea.
I think of so many.
Might be hard right now because of the snow, but.
I think one of the things I think is important to focus what FB is doing is wetland areas in the city of Laconia. You know, we are the, what is it, city on the lakes? Or whatever. And, you know, it's like preserving those wetlands. Because if we don't preserve the wetlands, we're not gonna have clean drinking water.
Right.
So, okay. Okay, so. Okay. So we did the minutes, okay. Staff in attendance, acceptance of the minutes. So Peter, what'd you find out about road salt?
I've been doing a lot of research on it. Savannah wasn't there, so what I talked to Gray about is, there's a list of, I have it somewhere. Sorry. So basically, looking at how towns do it, there's usually a master plan, says how you're gonna shovel the snow, how many people, what area, how often, that sort of thing. So I'd like to see that. There has to be one for Laconia. So I wanted to just find, then what kind of training do they do? So before I even meet with anybody, just to see what we're doing now, what equipment we have, the raw materials like salt, brine, there's tons of different things. And then look at the budget, how much are we spending? And so salt is getting to be very expensive. There's a shortage nationwide right now. So that's a good incentive. But there's like 6 or 7 things that other towns are doing that can significantly reduce costs and salt use. And we might be doing those, I don't know, but which is why I want to do the research. But so that's what I'm looking at.
Good.
So just the idea of how fast you spread the salt, or there's devices that you put on the plow so that you can, it gauges how deep to make the shovel in any particular area, supposedly, so you don't have to plow 2 times or 3 times. And other towns are saying they save lots of money doing those things. So there might be things we could do better, and so on.
I think that's good. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah.
Good.
So we talked earlier, and I'll be connecting him with our one and only Wesley Anderson. We might have some insight on the DPW workings, and whatever answers he doesn't have, I can just get from Nate, so.
Yeah, but I don't want to bog people down now in the middle of winter.
Right.
But if it's easy for me to get to it.
Yeah, well, winter is like our.
I think they're certified, like the Green Pro,
Yeah.
whatever,
Green
right?
Pro, that, well, so we thought they were, that was what we were discussing with Lisa. I'm
Oh.
pretty sure they are, but 100% not sure.
Oh, okay.
But I believe Wes said that they use some sort of clean materials, or they went through some training to green snow, but I don't know what that actually looks like for Laconia DPW, so I'll do some digging.
And it could have been, you know, if there was a turnover, maybe the new people haven't been trained or whatever. So,
Right.
Yeah, how many there are. There was an article in Laconia Sun this week about there was a shortage to get salt, and they use something like 400 tons a year. So,
It's a lot.
and I guess what they're doing, because is sometimes they're mixing sand with salt now, but then they have to sweep it up later, the guy said.
Right.
So it's,
As opposed to putting down salt and killing all the grass and vegetation and then having to replant it,
it's pretty crazy.
Dean thought my road looked like a beach. There's so
did.
much sand.
It did,
There's so
but
much
it all
salt.
flows down.
My
Where's the
dog,
mill?
my dog can't walk on the street because it's,
I bet.
so,
We have sand on top of sand.
Which is, I mean, are you in a no salt area? And how many no salt areas are there in Laconia?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we are in a no-salt area, actually.
Right.
Because they pretty much always, I mean, even when we had a paved road and before we had a paved road and now don't have a paved road, they've always used
You
sand.
used to have a paved road?
We originally did not, and then we did, and now we don't.
Really?
Broke up.
Yeah. They like, what do they call it, like reclaimed it and then put something else down. I can't, like a milled something, I can't remember what the terms were, but. Yeah, cause it was like, it was just terrible, like it was, the road got so bad that you couldn't really drive on it, so then they just,
It was always
easier to
buckling
just
and stuff,
reclaim.
probably, yeah.
I think that's one of the disadvantages of having it be such a wet area, is that, frost heaves.
Yeah, and there was never, like, the drainage was never done correctly, so it's just kind of ruined.
They're bad this
It
year.
just became a mess.
They're bad this year. Peter, if you, in your research, if you could ask them which areas are no salt in Laconia, if that's true. I mean, I'm thinking, Pickerel Pond is a no-brainer, but I'm thinking of places like on Church Street by Opeechee, and the bridge that goes right over the lake that sometimes has storm drain that goes right down into the river. Yeah, that would be just interesting to
Even
know.
like Water Street, like that area, like, I would think, would they have like, there's
It's-
a lot of drainage right into the lake.
Right.
the northern part of Winnisquam, up by where the big field is, and you go down that road,
Mhm.
that's designated low salt.
Well, that's good.
So
That would drain right into it, into the lake.
it's the whole road that goes down.
Like
By
Eastman
Robbie Mills?
Shore,
By Robbie Mills?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably that's the name of it. I guess the trade-off is it gets pretty slippery when there's no
I bet it does.
salt, but
I could have it designated a sleigh riding hill.
it'd be great for cross-country skiing too.
Yeah,
It's
really.
one thing for
As
us
long
to-
as you're going the right direction.
To remember with the big new development, if it ever gets done across from Opeechee, that should all be no salt.
No, it's
Just for us to think about in the next 20
it's
years.
definitely something to look into to see what we could do.
Right.
Well, with climate change, there's going to be more these storms, and then there'll be more melting and refreezing
Be more
again.
icy,
It'll be more,
Right.
yeah, they predict
Look at
more
those people
ice.
in Florida.
Yeah.
what did we do?
My friends in Florida all complaining, it's so cold. It's 50 degrees. I'm like, you gotta be kidding, it's -6 here.
It was 32 down there, though, it was pretty
Oh,
cold.
I'm sorry.
I think we talked last year, there were a couple towns that were trying beet juice,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
but it's so messy. Like, it can
It has
stain,
to be.
Stains.
stains everything,
Right, so everybody had a pink carnation.
or a pink car.
Why does that help, though?
There must be some
There must-
chemical thing about beets,
Interesting.
yeah.
Maybe it's the salt in the beet juice, who knows? You imagine the lawsuits? I had a white car, and you put down that beet juice, now I got a pink car, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for checking into this.
Yeah,
Peter.
that's good, that's good.
Really interesting.
And I think this is a topic that is going to evolve. It's not like we're gonna say, okay, the whole city's going, no salt.
Yeah,
And then you get your first lawsuit and you could have afforded twice as much salt, you know?
yeah, just to really go slowly, but see what we can find out and then make helpful suggestions or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Good, thank you. Okay, so we already did 9.1.
Did you check the attachments?
I'm sorry?
Did you check out the attachments for 9.1? I threw them on there for you so they were easily accessible. There is a lot more on their website.
Yes, I used,
Okay.
that's what I used today, and then I also followed along with her presentation, with her
Okay.
proposal. Thank you.
Good. Okay, and Gray put in these couple of attachments for iNaturalist. I mean, it really is, it's free. It's a free app for your phone, and but I think we just, so when I talked to Prescott Farm, we were, the other day, we were talking about doing a training session around Earth Day. Because April 22nd, it's still light up until 7:15, 7:30. So the way that they pictured doing the training was people would come to Prescott Farm, and they have a barn, we could go in, that's not heated, so it should be a little warmer in April. And then they would do like a 15-minute training, and then people could go outside, take some pictures, come back, talk about it. You know, what kind of problems did you have? How did it work? What, you know, any questions? And it would take, and we were talking about inviting specific groups like the Boy Scouts. Have the Boy Scouts come and the general public. And so I think they had some good ideas, and it's free. Their presentation is free.
And the Girl Scouts.
And the Girl Scouts, good idea, yeah. Okay, okay. I don't know why the Girl Scouts, and I was talking to two women, I don't know why the Girl Scouts didn't come up, anyway. Okay, good idea. And then, you know, the thing that's really cool is that you submit your observation, and then they will, experts will identify what it is. And, you know, they may have debates as to whether I'm more of an expert on lichens than you are, and I can tell you. Anyway, so it's just something to keep those
I think
road
it's,
scientists off the road.
I think it's mostly artificial intelligence, but
I don't,
I think they just
don't know.
have tons of pictures and that's how they arrive at what it is.
I don't know, but if they identify it correctly, I mean, I've sent stuff in that I knew what it was when I sent it, and it came back identified
Yeah.
correctly, so.
But it's like facial recognition or whatever. It's like if you have a picture of poison ivy, then
Yeah,
it's going to identify
I
it.
mean, you know, I think there's some value to artificial intelligence.
No, it's really good. I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's how it works.
I think a lot of intelligence is artificial. So, thanks, Gray.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on iNaturalist?
I mean, my question was, and I asked you this earlier, was in that data, is there a way, but it looks like you can make observation fields, because my question would be, if we were trying to find out if an area was rich with wildlife, you know, can we look at that data and say, okay, so how many people have seen bobcat in Laconia in the last 12 months? So there must be a way to drill down on that data. I think it's just a matter of,
So when I was poking around yesterday,
Figuring it out.
there's also iNaturalist for educators. So
Right.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to do that or traditional iNaturalist when you're working with Prescott and trying to get people involved. Because maybe, I don't know if they use it from the educator perspective. Maybe that's something that like you could set it up so that all those reports kind of were sent to you. I'm not really sure how the educator.
I don't know. I
I'd
just,
have to look at it.
I was thinking that something like that, you could go to the school and the science department, and maybe they have a rock formation. A homework assignment could be find 3 different rock, with iNaturalist, and then identify it and bring it in. Or you could, for biology, look for vernal pools and take pictures of life cycle. But maybe just working through the faculty, see if they'd be interested to assign it as a homework thing.
yeah, I mean, I think we could set up a competition. Who,
If they were interested.
yeah, who can take the most pictures in iNaturalist in the city, and we give them, a gift certificate too.
Wouldn't it be better to have the most new ones they find? Something like that.
So you don't just get 16 pictures of a 4-leaf clover.
Right. What if, this is slightly off subject, I think, but, and I don't really know all the information about this, but I know it came up in our foundations course at the conference. Is it like the BioBlitz? Is that what
yes,
it's called?
yes.
What if we, I mean, I don't really know what is, all the details for that, but what if we did something like that during, like, in order to help inform the NRI?
And have a better location. Absolutely, yeah, it's almost a better idea, because then you have a specific location that you're,
I don't necessarily mean
Looking.
instead of, I just mean
Right.
maybe that's something we could also do.
include in
I don't
it.
know, again, I don't know what that involves, like, you guys might, I don't know if you've done that before, or.
The BioBlitzes, you can do all kinds of different ways, but I know at Prescott Farm, Dean before, and my friend Susan, they'll take like a yard by yard, is that it?
Yeah, square yard, yeah.
Square yard template, and then photograph and identify the different plants or animals within that yard.
Okay,
I mean, but-
that's kinda cool.
I just looked up BioBlitz.
But you could do
and
it.
iNaturalist had a page that came up that says table of contents, what is BioBlitz and why should you use iNaturalist to do it? So,
Cool.
Okay.
looks like they're already prepped to
And,
help with the platform.
there's this organization called Nature Groupies. You know Nature Groupies? Oh my God, this is
That's
great.
volunteer though,
Huh?
the volunteer site?
Yeah, so what you do is you put out a project. We're trying to improve the trails going up Gunstock, and we need people to help clear the trails and blah, blah, blah. Or, we want to, so one that I went to was, they were doing a training for iNaturalist. And it was a conservation commission that was up near Tamworth. And they just said, we're gonna do this, it's free. So what you're doing is you put in Nature Groupie, you put in a project, and you're looking for free labor to do whatever it is. We're gonna clean up a stream, we're going to, we're gonna do a BioBlitz, and we need people to help us do the
And they're gonna
BioBlitz.
clean up invasive species. They
Right.
do a lot of different things. I've actually done it for the wetlands walk cleanup. The Gunstock has a wetlands walk, and we would have a cleanup every month, and I would put it up on that website. And then also if you have an afternoon and you're like, oh, I wish I could go do something outside, you can look at the list of where they need volunteers. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
And, you know, and they're, I thought it was fun, because I've done several of them, and they're fun. You know, I forget, anyway. So that's another option. And to do a bio blitz, you know, if what we did is we said, we're gonna do a bio blitz because Prescott Farm said they wanna do one. We're gonna do a bio blitz at Prescott Farm, so if you wanna come and help us out, it's great. We're also gonna go to Ahern State Park, and we're gonna do a bio blitz. Let's, you know, come on over if you wanna go hiking. You can go for a swim afterward, not right now, but, not intentionally right now. But, you know, it would be a way to attract people who like to be outside and, you know, would probably be like-minded in terms of preservation, conservation, nature, and so. I think there are a lot of ways to do it, so. But I think a bio blitz would be, I think that would be cool. So we put down a cubic, we had a cubic yard. And what we did is we said, okay, let's see how many different kinds of plants are in that cubic yard. And we did one on an area where the grass was mowed. And we came up with, whatever we came up with, 50 plants. Then we went over to the field where it wasn't mowed, put down a cubic yard, and counted, and there were like 250. I mean, those aren't the real numbers. But it was like, the kids were like, wow, this is crazy. How come, you know? You leave nature alone, it's amazing what it can do. So. Okay, milfoil.
Milfoil. So, contract is signed by Kirk. That is all set. Really, we're just waiting for the season to roll around. All of our ducks are in a row. The grant's set up. There's a new person running the program over at DES, so we've been in contact. Yeah, everything's already taken care of.
Amy's
so.
not doing it?
So Amy is still the director, but she has someone else, I think Georgia Bennell, and she is the one who's in charge of coordinating that grant now.
And I see that it is on the city council agenda for Monday
Yeah,
for the council to approve the grant
yes.
from DES.
Yeah.
Do you think they need one of us there to answer
So-
questions?
So Tyler was asking me questions about the specific numbers, Tyler and Rob the other day, so I think they're preparing a presentation to give to city council, so I don't think that you guys would be required to be there, but, it's up to you.
Well, we can ask them
Yeah.
if they think they might need us to answer any questions.
Yeah, I've been sending all the grant documents to them, but I don't know how much background information they may need, so I'll talk to them tomorrow.
So how many years have we been doing this?
That's a great question. They asked me to pull, Counselor Bogert, I think it was, wanted the figures for the last 5 years. So DS sent me back the 5 past years quotes, so at least 5 years. I think it's been
No, it's been
quite some time.
It's been about 15, I
Yeah.
think, at least.
I don't know off the top of my head, so that sounds right.
So, do you know the numbers yet? For this year?
So they're doing herbicide this year because it's every other year, so the cost is almost double what it is when it's just dash. So last year was our low year. This year is herbicide. So I think it's. Let me see if I have it in here. Might have it in my file. Last year was like 54,000 and some change, or not last year, 2 years ago.
So that, it's like double when it's herbicide versus dash?
Yeah, so because the herbicide is every other year, because they can do it every year. So
Right.
What's dash?
Dash is diver assisted harvesting, so that's the technicians who are down in the oxygen tanks with the diving suits, and they're down on the floor, and they have this long, so they're on the boat, and it has a vacuum tube that goes up to the boat, and they have the other end of the vacuum in their hand, and they're down there grabbing the root, pulling it up, and then feeding it into the vacuum, and it gets put on a tank on the boat.
Where do they do this?
So they do that in Paugus and Opeechee every summer.
No,
And
they do it in
Winnisquam.
all the lakes.
Yeah, they do it in a
All
lot
the
of the
lakes.
lakes.
Yes.
By hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for Dash. And the
Oh my
herbicide is
God.
So,
fairly new.
so the herbicide treats a large area, and the hand pulling is better if it's a smaller area or to, you know, help with the larger treatment area. And there's only so much that they can do.
Dash is also good for shallow
Yeah, so
water.
last year they did it on the Winnipesaukee River and found some spots. And
So this is never ending.
it's never ending. Once you have an invasive,
Oh, yeah.
it's there for good. Yeah, it's depressing. So the budget though, that you're trying to find, is it just for Paugus?
No, so we send out, we have two big guidance, one for Opeechee, one for Paugus. We send them both out to the providers, that we
So
have
do they
on
have
the
any money
list.
set aside for Winnisquam?
So Winnisquam is done
'Cause I know
by
they have-
Winnisquam
They usually
Watershed.
ask us every year,
Yes. So,
but that we've been cutting it down in the amount that we've been giving them. And reading that 2022 report, NRI, it mentioned that the most waterfront that we have in Laconia is on Winnisquam.
yes.
And I was like, uh-oh.
But in the past, so what they do is the state comes and does a survey,
An assessment, yeah.
and the survey occurs in the fall to see how successful the summer activity, cleanup activity was. And then it takes place again in the spring to see what's grown. So, when they've done surveys of the waterfront in Winnisquam, that is Laconia property, they found no milfoil. Until they went up the river this past summer and they found a big pile.
Yeah.
And the guys were, I mean, you know, where the Alan Rogers, where Alan Rogers was, that
The condos, right.
the
So
condos are there now.
Oh,
right
yeah.
to the,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
across
that-
from the hotel.
Across from like
So,
Shelter.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, they went up there and there's a place where, I think it's called, the canal comes from Canal Street, goes out and it discharges there, and they found it was loaded with milfoil. So the guys, the divers, were like standing in the water,
Yeah, it was,
vacuuming it up.
yeah,
But-
they,
But it cost, I think it cost like $8,000 or $10,000 to do it, and Winnisquam Watershed has asked them to pay for that, and I think that Kirk said the city paid some of it, I don't know if they paid all of it, but I think in Laconia, I think we started doing milfoil maybe 15 years ago, because we're at the end of the road, you know, the whole lake is sending particles of milfoil down, and they're going out through us, and we were like the last ones to come to the party, to start paying to treat milfoil. A friend of mine who owns Proctor's Lake House Cottages used to go out every morning and rake his beach and pick up all the milfoil and put it in plastic bags and put it in the garbage. So it's like all these pieces break off, and they will root when they get to a
teeny
place where.
tiny piece, yeah.
So anyway, so it's a challenge. And I think last year, between last year and this year, the amount, the percent that the state is going to pay went down. So
It's not a
obviously
surprise.
ours went up.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, because the state always does give us a grant, but it's getting smaller, unfortunately.
so.
But,
So, the figures I found are the first version that they sent that was incorrect and had a typo. So I only have the incorrect figures to give you right now,
that's
which,
it.
but basically it's around roughly $60,000. So the state pays half, the city pays half. That's how it works every year. Yeah. But unfortunately, so the city has to expend it, the whole amount, and then we get reimbursed by the state. So we can't just have the state pay for their half. We have to spend the whole thing. So that's also part of why it goes before city council to explain that.
And the way that the state does it is they'll estimate how many diver days they need.
Yep.
And, you know, usually it's a conservative estimate, so we don't use typically all the diver days because they're not needed. And the same thing with putting the herbicides down. It's like, this is how much we're gonna do, and when it comes to, you know, the city does have some say when it comes to how many applications of herbicide are we gonna do, 2 or 1? And sometimes if we,
Keeping in mind that August Bay happens to be our drinking water also.
right, so it's,
And that's never been, it's never really been studied.
So,
The
yeah,
herbicide?
I can always send along
So,
the guidance if you want.
There are not as many places in New Hampshire that use open water for their drinking water. We're one of the few, and for years, Amy was coming up from DES and would survey in the spring and tell us which areas she thought, you know, it would need it, and then, I don't know how many years ago it was, all of a sudden it was like, you know, that is our drinking water, and they didn't seem to know.
I could tell you when it was about 10 years ago, she came and she said, we want to use 2,4-D. We
Right.
wanted to use 2,4-D in our drinking, to treat it. That was the approved, and we had this discussion, and I said, you can't do that. This is our drinking water. She's like, oh, yes, we can. The state owns the water. I said, okay, you want to put it in, people get sick, we'll send them to the state, okay? And so we had a meeting with the water department. The water department explained to her it was a drinking water, and she was like, okay, we'll rethink this one. So we
Use
use
a different
a,
herbicide.
yeah, every year they kind of change it a little bit. They got to come up with a different formula for herbicides, but anyway.
And the herbicides go to the bottom,
Yeah.
like by the plant roots. So it's not like they're dissolving and floating everywhere. It's
But
pretty
still.
contained. Yeah,
Do they assay the water for
yeah,
the
Mhm.
herbicide?
yes, yeah.
They do it downstream.
Yeah, the company does, yeah.
Okay.
It keeps track of it. And most of our applications are on the north end of the lake, and the intake is down at
Right.
the south end, so.
Yeah, every time I drive my boat past that, I think, should I be driving my boat past this?
Isn't there a sign that says no boating at this?
It's really close, though. It's very narrow.
Yeah, you can get almost all the way down to wherever the bridge is,
I mean, when I think of the
on
other,
the street.
the other reservoirs that don't allow motors, they don't allow swimming,
That's
they,
it.
you know.
Can't fish, can't do this, can't do that,
Yeah.
anyway. Not us.
I have a well.
Live free or die.
Anyway,
I actually honestly feel like a lot of people don't even realize that
No.
this is our drinking water source.
a lot of people don't even realize, they don't realize that's what's coming out of their tap.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
goes onto our education list.
You what?
Let's add that to our education list.
Okay,
Thanks, Gray.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So I can send you guys the bid guidance that DES gave us if you want tomorrow. It just outlines kind of those details, like the depth of the areas, the treatment square footage or acres that they're gonna be treating. It shows the map of where in the lake
Sure.
they're treating.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
that
would
would
be
be
great.
great. That
Yeah.
would be great,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.
And, I think that that's important, in doing the NRI, is to know where they're going to apply herbicides,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Okay, Climate Cafe is Thursday, next Thursday. And the topic for discussion will be, Prescott Farm did trimming of some of their forested areas to create better habitat for different kinds of organisms. And they're going to do a presentation of where they did that, why they did it, and what they expect to see. So, so that'll be the first Climate Cafe, and
It's at Community.
that's, yes,
I didn't know if everybody knew. And I
You know
think
where-
it's at,
Community is, okay. You know where Community is? Community, you know where the Laconia Bakery is?
No?
right on Main Street.
Right on.
Yeah.
So it's right up from the Colonial Theater on the same side.
Oh, okay, I know, yeah, I know where the bakery is.
And that's at 5:30.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
a
across
lovely
the street
place.
from the Village
It is.
Bakery.
I love it
Okay.
Yeah,
there.
I like
It is great.
What time is that at?
5:30.
So we talked about the second Climate Cafe being us talking about iNaturalist and using iNaturalist just to get the information out so that the public and
Who
doing.
talked about it?
What?
Who talked about it?
By us, he means Dean, no, just.
No, not, and it would be at Prescott Farm so that we could do this training. That's the purpose of it, is encouraging people to come, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts,
I
come
see.
and show people how to use it, explain why we're using it, and encourage them to go out and survey their neighborhoods.
Sounds
So,
great.
and that would be in April, so it's not gonna be every month, but I'm not setting the schedule, we suggested April.
Who-
Is Prescott Farm the one that is, they're the ones that are doing it, though?
They're
Setting the schedule and,
The Climate Cafe itself?
no, there's
Muff is.
yeah, do you know
Oh.
Muff?
I don't.
Oh,
Yeah. It's part of CCL, it's part
Okay.
of Citizens Climate Lobby, she's doing it.
she's great, she's unbelievable. She's also organizing.
She's a tornado,
Yeah, jump back.
yeah.
She's also organizing Love Our Earth, which is going to be on Mother's Day weekend, Saturday of Mother's Day weekend. And I think she did it last year and it rained, and
Yeah.
this year she said she's going to have more people. We were there last year, we're going to be there again this year.
We're also trying to come up with a movie, it's sort of a lead-in to this, to the Love Our Earth Day, like a week or two ahead of time. But we haven't
There's
agreed on a
So many good
screening
ones.
yet, yeah,
So many good ones.
yeah. So we're reviewing some of the climate movies that are out there.
Good, oh, great.
That goes right into my next announcement. The Wild and Scenic Film Festival it's put on by the New Hampshire Rivers Council. It will be in Concord on Friday, March 27th. So it's a one-night film festival, and they have, Dean's been, I really can't really say, but they have different films, short films on natural, environmental stuff.
Yeah.
Red River?
It is at Red River. And then, But this
you
year-
gotta- You gotta buy tickets.
Oh, actually, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
at Red River this year, is it? I think it's at the Bank of New Hampshire.
Pavilion.
Oh, across the street.
It's down the street a little bit, because
It's
it's a,
down the
it's a
street on the
bigger,
opposite side.
yeah, it's a bigger venue. Bank of New Hampshire,
It's like next to the
Pavilion or
Capitol.
something.
It's not the
next to the
pavilion, that's
Capitol
up here.
Theater, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But if you go to New Hampshire River, Council, yeah, New Hampshire Rivers
River.
Council. You can find the information. This year, it's kind of cool. You can buy a ticket to go in person, or you can buy a ticket to watch at home. And you have like 5 days to watch these videos on demand. So it's pretty cool.
What date is that?
It is the
March 27th?
March 27th, yep. And I think it starts at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. They have, if you go in person, you've gone in person,
Mhm.
they have like a reception and it's a big deal, right?
It's fun.
It's really pretty cool.
You get this, you get to see the same people think you're, the way you do, it's like, oh, yeah, you think that way too? I thought I was crazy. No, you're not crazy. You're just crazy like the rest of us.
Also, the New Hampshire Rivers Council is doing a story night, but it's also in Concord, on February 26th. It's called What Lies Beneath, Indoor Campfire Stories of Winter. So it's like a family-friendly event or whatever. But that's from 6 to 7:30. I'm not sure where it's at, but if you went to the New Hampshire Rivers Council, if you were interested in it, I know it's in Concord somewhere. And then while I'm on a roll, there's 4 energy bills that are coming up in front of the House in Concord. They've already been recommended to pass by the New Hampshire House Science, Technology, and Energy Commission, or committee, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you go to the House, what is it, the House website?
Yeah, I think you can, at this point, they've taken all the comments, opposing and support, because it's
Okay.
already gone through the executive session of the STE committee.
Mhm.
But you could still write
Right.
to your representative
Okay.
before it goes to a vote on the floor.
So there's 4 different bills, and they mainly, one repeals solar tax exemption, one is for the criteria involved in calling it reliable energy sources, which I think they want to change, they want to cut out like solar and wind and have it be nuclear and gas. Yeah, another is relative to renewable energy fund compliant payments. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of technical things, but you can give them your opinion on what you feel like they are, but they are not really environmentally friendly. I'll just put it that way.
Well, the comments online were like 100, 150 to 5, opposed,
Right,
and they don't care.
but we'll see what happens.
So vote early and vote often.
That's all
Okay.
I have.
Okay, so we have one other thing on the agenda, which is, so we have done watershed management plans for Winnisquam and for Winnipesaukee. We have not done, and for August Bay, but we have not done one for Lake Opeechee. And FB Environmental, a different lady, Laura Deemer, contacted me because we had submitted an application for a grant in 2023, and we were not funded, although they liked the grant application. They just didn't have enough money. So Laura said, hey, do you want to do it again? So I've been talking to Rob Mora to see if the city would be willing, you have to guarantee that you will repay the grant, which could be up to $100,000. And the city has told Rob, no, the city manager said, no, we're not gonna. So I said, well, we could use the conservation funds, and he said, yeah. So the question is, do we wanna do a watershed management plan for Lake Opeechee? And if we do, then we may have to pay up to $100,000 to pay for the consultants and the sampling and all that.
How much did the plan cost for Winnisquam?
That's a much bigger lake. I think it cost, maybe $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see where ours would cost
No.
near that
I
much.
think last year, or in 2023, we asked for $15,000, and it was at that time, it was a Moose Plate grant, so it couldn't be more than $15,000. But,
I mean, I think if we wanted to go ahead with this, we should talk to the OPG Preservation Society group, and see their thoughts and their possible fundings. It's, a lot of it, when you did the Winnisquam plan, part of that was to go around the lake, and was it part of it to go around the lake and
survey.
and find spots that were eroding or needed some attention? I mean, that could be done voluntarily.
Right.
And then,
And that's why it
and
only,
then a real plan, who did the plan for Winnisquam?
FB Environmental.
Because I wonder if somebody like, I mean, do you think Sarah Steiner could do it for us?
She works for she works for Winnisquam Watershed Network.
I know, but she doesn't work full-time for them, I don't think. I don't know, it's just,
I
it
don't
seems to me like it could be done for a lot less.
Oh, I think $100,000 for Lake Opeechee, a relatively small lake. And it's, the uses of the shoreline are pretty consistent, a lot of houses. Not too many businesses, so it's, it's not, I agree, I think it should be less than, I mean, they asked for $15,000 in 2023, and, inflation is not that great. So, and there's a time frame. I think the applications have to be in by the middle of March, early March, I forget the exact date. But if we want to be responsible for the funding, if the state says you gotta pay, because the state's gonna look at it and say, well, we have this amount of money, we're not gonna pay all of it, and we'd have to come up with the rest, or have a popcorn sale, or, I mean, I think the idea of getting the, Lake Opeechee Preservation Association involved is critical. They're gonna have to support it, and that lady, what was that lady's name? Who said she would let us use her boat.
I
She
know.
would drive us around so we could survey the property, so, it would be, another task that we would do. So, I don't know, how do people feel about?
What is involved with the watershed management plan?
You survey the shoreline and you identify properties that have erosion, like Deb said, or have mow their lawns all the way down to the water's edge. And you don't scold anybody for the way that they take care of their property. What you do is you say, that the recommended technique for preserving water quality is not to mow to the edge of your property, edge of the water, but instead to, grow vegetation there to filter runoff. And it's to look for areas that, like, when they had water drawdown, lake drawdown a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, Deb and I walked around half of the lake and picked up trash. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
one
But we
suggestion
also
is don't throw trash in a lake.
But we also saw where, certain parking lots have outlets that come right down to the lake. You could, O-Pee-Chee could be really interesting because a lot of the stormwater drains come right out into the lake. It could be a challenge. Could be a challenge. There would be a lot of projects. So when they did the plan for Winnisquam, then it gave them, certain projects that they have worked on.
Right, they were three
Like
projects.
Three big ones, yeah.
3 projects, and Winnisquam Watershed Network filed for 319 grants to do those projects. Like, one of them was to take care of Gale Avenue, Gale Avenue. Gale Avenue, the water comes down Gale Avenue, down the road, and went essentially directly into Winnisquam. So all that stormwater runoff went directly into Winnisquam. And instead, what was done was, the city dug a couple of,
Infiltration, just ditches.
big holes and filled them with rocks, and then we planted plants, and, it was supposed to be
Filter.
a garden,
It was supposed to be a rain garden,
yeah,
but
rain garden, but like
Anyway.
a rock garden. But
It looks
anyway.
it's good, it's good drainage.
Yeah, it
keeps the
definitely-
water from going right into Winnisquam, which is its purpose, so that was good.
So that was one of the outputs from doing the watershed management plan, was to identify those kinds of areas. And in this case, it was owned by the city, so the city agreed. And then there was one over in Meredith, and one in Samberton where they did some roads that were unpaved, and anyway. So that's the value of doing the watershed management plan, and you might, like, we have tributaries we sample there, we do deep water sampling, and to look at those, and like maybe there's some other areas we should sample, and it's like, it's really just to get a better look at the lake and figure out what we can do to improve it, like over in, what's that cove called? Over at the park.
O-Pee-Chee.
Oh,
Peachy
Peachy
Cove.
Cove.
Peachy Cove is like, there's some,
It's
that's
stagnant.
always closed to swimming, even though the swimming area is there, it's closed because of,
It's stagnant water.
Is that cyanobacteria there?
It's,
Yeah.
well, there's a lot of duck feces and
Geese,
everything.
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
everything.
The
Everything.
only,
The geese
Soup.
are like, there
That's
are
their
so
pool.
many geese
Yeah.
there.
A lot of people don't care. I used to work lifeguard over at the Weirs, and we'd put out, the state would do our testing and say you have high levels of bacteria, you have E. coli, whatever. People plan to spend their whole day up at the beach. They come
well, when
up,
they
see the
drive, when they
signs,
drive up from Massachusetts, they're
and
like,
they
oh,
say,
yeah.
"Oh man, does that mean we can't go swim? It's like swimming's not allowed." And I go, "It's swim at your own risk." And they say, "Oh, great!" And they run in
Yeah,
with
they
their
don't care.
kid. They start blowing water bubbles, and it's like in their mouth. I'm like, "Oh my god!" But
My reservation with doing O-Pee-Chee though is it's all performance zoning, is that correct?
around O-Pee-Chee,
Yeah.
I don't know that. There's only like a handful of lots around the city that are performance zoning. One of them is at the end of Old North Main.
It just,
Along the,
We
along
could
the
identif-
school, along this,
we could-
middle school.
we could identify a lot of projects, but, would the city be willing to adapt them? That's the problem.
I don't know.
But it's good to have a management plan, especially when it comes to climate change and, stormwater runoff kind of thing, so.
Yeah, like when the lake was drawn down, there's drain that comes off the intersection of Elm Street and Union Avenue, and there's a pipe that goes down into the lake, right into the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you
Like-
walk around that lake at
And
drawdown.
still, like, that's still there?
Hmm?
There's many outlets there, that's what I mean, it's not, you know, yeah. Over by the middle school, there's at least 3 outlets over there, I feel like, so.
So, do we want to guarantee that we'll, that we would use the conservation funds to pay for this? I mean,
think
it could cost $100,000.
Yeah, I think it I mean, that would be a huge price.
I know, I think that's, but that's in order to qualify to submit a grant, you have to guarantee you would pay $100,000, if appropriate.
But you're submitting a grant.
You're submitting a grant application, but if all the projects that they're funding cost more than the money they have, then they want everybody to belly up and,
Are you
So-
obligated at that point to?
To
if
do
you
the
go-
projects?
what do you mean?
Well, you're saying that if that doesn't cover the projects, that we would have to pay?
Yeah, then they would ask us to pay up to $100,000.
But who decides on the projects and,
The state.
Why can't you get an estimate?
I was gonna say, if the state's paying projects, they could like break us and then some. Like I said, there's so many different things to go through there.
I called Laura Dema and she hasn't called me back yet.
Okay.
She'll call me.
Why wouldn't you get an estimate, though? Just find out how much it would cost, and then you could decide.
Yeah, that would be, that's what I would do. And in the past, they have not, apparently, not asked for people to pay the $100,000, or municipalities to pay. So I can talk to Laura, and
So with just for example, the Winnisquam watershed, the project at Gale Avenue, they were gonna run out of time to use those funds.
yeah, but those are 319 grant funds.
So that was
That
different.
was separate from the
Yeah,
watershed
that was awarded
management.
to the Parks Department,
Okay.
so it was
Yeah.
Parks who had to use
So,
it.
yeah, we had to come up with at least 20%. Is that right? 20% of the cost of doing the project. So we paid by having DPW and Parks and Rec and the Conservation Commission
Do the work.
do our stuff.
Right.
So I can ask Laura,
Yeah,
and I can ask her if
more
there's still
information.
sufficient time.
Is this the only time during the year that they accept grants? Yeah.
I don't know if you have to give her an answer by next meeting, but you might have more members present next meeting, right?
Right.
Or Bob, I don't know if Bob will still be out, but Lisa and Raj.
I don't know, I'll have to ask him how he's doing. I know he's settled into his new place, so,
Yeah, I think more information is needed.
yeah, but you want to get more information? That was the
Yes.
question. Okay,
Yes.
More information.
okay. Okay, I'll get more information. Okay, so, commissioners' comments. Okay?
Is that us? I don't know if I have any comments.
Okay.
I think, hopefully we'll have more information after the next TRC meeting to talk about, I don't know, next steps. I mean, my hope is that, you know, we can sort of be prepared for the Conservation Commission meeting with the developer. And I know, like, I'm likely gonna have to,
Recluse yourself.
yeah,
I
Because
don't
you
know if you
live
have to
there.
recuse yourself. I think you have to disclose that you, I mean, I'll leave that up to you.
I'm not in a
Gray's
butter.
thinking.
Right.
Right, because I know so on other boards, people have to recuse themselves if they have a personal interest, if they know the person.
If they're in a butter.
Yeah. But this is a recommendations board, so I don't think you're required to recuse yourself. I think it's up to you, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Because I know like on the other boards you have to disclose that, but I don't think you have to with Concom. I think because you're giving recommendations
we're
on how to better the
advisory.
project. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not like actually voting. Yeah, and I'm not in a butter, so not.
So this is the Pickerel Pond
The,
project.
Mhm.
Is there any place to find out more information about this? Or?
So, they have just submitted, so they had a conceptual before they just finally got their packet together and submitted it to go to TRC. So when all the departments can look at it and give their comments on what needs to be changed and brought up to code. And then after that, they should be visiting Concom. And then eventually planning board, but depends if they get all their approvals and all that good stuff, but yeah.
So can we get information before that? Will it be on the city website,
I don't know.
the application?
I want to say, so applications only are posted on the city website in special cases, like, for example, like maybe the state school or something that the public's generally very interested in. What I can do is just knowing that that application is coming to Concom, as soon as I get the green light from, I guess, Rob or Tyler, when they've talked to the developer with their TRC stuff. As soon as I get the green light from them, I can just send it to you guys to start reviewing. Since,
Are the TRC minutes online?
yes, so they're not on for that meet. So that meeting is going to be, they're going to the February 17th TRC, and then your Concom meeting is the 18th.
Okay, so we won't see it.
Yeah. So that's what I was talking earlier to Jen and Dean about. Scott is staffing the TRC meetings, and he also will be staffing your next Concom meeting on the 18th. So he was able to give you TRC comments within that 12-hour turnaround last time.
Right.
I would say just ask him if he can do it again, and he should be able to.
Well,
We were also
while
talking.
the applicant is here.
Yeah. We were also talking about how you guys don't need like a polished document. You just need the comments pasted in something that you can look at. So
What's TRC?
technical review committee. So that's like the Parks Department, Water Department, Fire, Police,
DPW?
DPW, Planning. They'll all meet here, the department heads, and look over all the applications that are coming up, and kind of be like, Fire says they need this many sprinklers, they need to be up to this code. So then the applicant comes in, listens to all the city's comments, and takes those comments and is like, okay, this is what I need to fix before I could even move on to the next board for review.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of like the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the TRC is open to the public, but you can't make comments, right?
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, but it is open to the public, and also, I believe even non-public comment, public hearing meetings, basically all meetings now are being streamed here from 200A. So you can always watch them at home, even if there's not a public comment opportunity.
So you can eat your popcorn and watch.
That's right.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
good. You have anything, Dan?
Nope.
Deb?
I'm all set.
I feel like I had something, but lost it. Okay, great, what you got?
My staff comments.
Staff comments.
Your next upcoming Conservation Commission meeting is February 18th at 5 p.m. It will be here in 200A. In other news, we had a special events meeting today. Jet skis got approval. Sled Dogs got approval, but Sled Dogs said time will tell. They have to see if they're going to get enough snow this weekend to be able to hold a race. They are exploring possibly moving over to Winnisquam.
I think they would have enough now
That's what I'm saying.
compared to other years.
I know. So she said maybe we'll see. And then we had like 4 applications for Bike Week. So those were pretty easy. And then jazz concerts at the Weirs for the summer.
Are they building a gazebo?
Gazebo, yes. This is a longer term project. I'm honestly not sure if that will be completed by the summer. That is a Weirs TIF project, and they're still in the process of trying to get like RFP, get designs, get engineering for all of that. So it
So
seems like a little
where's that
bit of
gonna
a
be?
longer term problem.
On the boardwalk somewhere.
Yeah, on the boardwalk in the Weirs.
Okay,
Yep.
that's nice.
Yeah, they could have the bands there then. That would be
Yeah,
cool.
it's kind of like it's like a bandstand they want to put up there.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
people in Molten Borough can complain about the noise.
So that's special event.
So did you say that the jet ski races were approved?
They were approved. They said they already had their approvals from the state. He started going nationwide this past year. It was suggested by, not the special events board. What other board was it? Someone, I believe it was maybe a ZBA member. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'll have to check back for you. But someone suggested that they consider making a donation to, or contribution to the Conservation Commission. And they said they would definitely keep that in mind for next year's application and budget because they are hopefully going to be returning.
Were they approved for the camping also?
That's a great question. Their application was for the course itself on O-Pee-Chee, but it being a full special, and they had a loudspeaker permit already. I didn't hear anything about. Let me check. I'll get back to you.
Only because Dean said that they had talked about that they're gonna be larger in size. They expect more jet skis this year. So if they're telling people they can camp there, I mean, first of all, they shouldn't be camping there, but
Right.
if they are, then that's even more people.
Nancy
Yeah.
Nagel.
And
Shock to.
they're coming from Lake Erie.
Yes, so one thing that they talked about is they're implementing a wash-off station for their participants coming out of Erie before they come down.
Amen.
So I'm like, hey, that's great news. So,
They're gonna wash off at Lake Erie.
yes,
So
Yeah.
we aren't really gonna know if they did that or not.
No.
Because last year they had a wash-off station here.
yes. So I
and
think he said he's still
no
gonna have
one used
that.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think we have to require them, but they've already gotten their approval?
For special events, they've gotten their special events.
So
approval.
when do they get the approval to, it's a 100% go?
Special events was
Like,
the
can
only
we
one
still-
that gave them their approval last year,
Right.
Yeah,
because,
special, because I don't think they have to go before any other board.
right.
Can we still submit comments, like every jet ski has to go through pressure washing, high temperature pressure washing here before they go in the lake?
I don't see why not. I think you could at least draft up whatever you want, and I could,
We want it to be
Try to
I
something.
mean,
send it over
we
to-
gave them suggestions
yes,
of, launching at the boat ramp and stuff, but
yeah.
do we know if they're agreeing to that?
So I have, from the
Yeah.
special events meeting today, it was streamed, so we can always, you're welcome to go back and, there's like a 5-minute kind of narration about what's going to be going on. He basically said it's going to be pretty similar to last year, besides some minor details.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at that last meeting, he didn't agree to the.
Right.
He said they can't do it from the dock,
Yeah, they can.
it has to be the beach.
They can launch it at the boat launch, and then, and then they launch from the beach for their races. That I totally understand, but they
Not-
should be,
They said they can't do, it had to all be.
because we had to
from-
stand on the beach and do the inspections there.
Well,
I
I'm
mean-
just, they didn't agree to do it from the dock.
Right.
I remember that clearly.
Yeah.
He said
Mm.
logistically, like with traffic and
No,
like there
They
was a
said they said it couldn't work.
it wouldn't have been a problem, because last year, there were never more than 2 in line to get inspected.
It-
It would not have been a problem. I'm sorry I missed
That
that.
wasn't-
Sorry I missed that meeting.
Yeah, that wasn't the reason, though, it was something else.
It-
More the mechanics.
It was the
of-
traffic. It was the traffic on Messer Street that was gonna tie up all of Messer Street. Hogwash.
And something about them like having to come in and out like between races or something.
I mean-
so like, right?
Yeah.
They had to pull their boat out or
Well, they
Yeah.
do that, and I would concede that on O-Pee-Chee Shore, but just for the initial launching and inspection and maybe hose down, it would have been nice to do it at the boat ramp. Because talk about not enough space, when we inspected them on the beach last year, it's very tight.
Yeah. And they did say they were gonna have like Getty was gonna be there doing the.
Like
pressure
I said,
wash.
he was there last year too, and I don't think anybody I asked him, and he said he didn't wash anybody. So, anyway,
Yeah, I would
it's just
say,
frustrating. I mean, it's too small of a lake for this event anyway. Why not have it on the bigger lake?
They had a lot of reasons they couldn't. It's the only place they could do it.
They like the coziness.
Yeah, if you want to draft a list of your recommendations, I'll see what I can do. Pass those along to Sean Dudek.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we can still submit. How long do we have to submit comments?
Let's see. If you want to get them to me by like Tuesday or something, by
Oh,
like
okay.
Tuesday at 4:30.
Okay, so
End
somebody
of
want
day.
to do those comments?
I mean, it's basically the same comments that we gave them. I mean, you gave them my comments at the meeting, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, but
I
I think no fueling boats in the water,
But you-
period.
But you told them that already.
Right, but,
Right.
but I think if we can make it a condition of the permit,
But we're an advisory board.
Yeah, we
No.
can't. So they already got the approval, so we can't do any conditions because they've already been approved.
all right, then we'll just,
But we can do recommendations stuff.
we can do
Did that-
recommendations?
Did they? So, have you had Sean Dudek present anything this year for this year's race? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
last meeting.
And did you give recommendations?
Yeah, we gave them recommendations.
Okay,
They should be in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
sounds good.
I wonder
Then,
if because
um,
one of them was speaking to the Lake Opeechee Preservation Association. I wonder.
Yeah, so the Lake Opeechee Preservation Association goes south for the winter.
Oh,
So nobody's in town.
the whole association.
Well, that's not true. That's not nobody's in town, but
Okay, awesome. Did you give a list? Like, you know how you send a separate list of your recommendations to me and I send them to the applicant?
I don't think we gave a separate list.
Okay.
I think that Savannah wrote them down and put them.
They're in the minutes,
in the
yeah,
minutes.
so,
So maybe if you can go through the minutes and pull them out and,
yeah, I can do that
enumerate
easily.
them.
I'm saying I can pull the stuff from the minutes. If there's anything else you want to add,
Okay, so
send
if
that
you,
to me and I can put it
can you
together.
pull them out and itemize them and send them to Deb?
Yeah.
Or send them to everybody and everybody can comment.
Say, yeah, add what you want by Monday, 4:30 or something. Reply to the email with whatever you want to add.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then I'll send that over because you should have had the opportunity to give comments, but the comments are supposed to be given during the meeting, which it seems like they were because it's in the minutes, but the actual document wasn't sent over, so I can just hopefully do that.
Okay.
I just want to get it over to him sooner rather
Sure.
than later, so he has time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, before
Okay.
it goes south. Okay, anything else?
That, I believe, is it for my staff report off the top of my head. Yeah, in other news with the snowstorm,
no one lost power in the city of Laconia. So, yeah, that's cool. That's all. That's all I got.
So I have one thing that I forgot. When I talked to Tyler earlier, and I voiced my frustration about how we're trying to do a master plan here, we're trying to do natural resource inventory, and the rest of the city is marching on. He said the way to voice that frustration is to go to the master plan steering committee meeting, which happens to be on the same day as Climate Cafe, except it's at 6 o'clock, and they have the presentation, and then at the end, they take public comments. So, and it's, that meeting is here, the steering committee is here. So,
At 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
But you can also add comments online, correct?
And he was gonna send me, Tyler was gonna send me, and Gray, if you could send the connection to the master plan steering committee, so we can put comments online.
Okay.
Please. And then everybody can do it at their, when they have their slippers on.
Did they have the master plan? I was planning on going, but I couldn't make it, on the 29th.
Yes.
Okay, because I looked for, the meeting online, I didn't see it.
Okay.
Because usually it's, I don't know what the time frame is for when that stuff gets posted.
For master plan, it should. So, it's all dictated by our ordinance. Like, for example, ZBA has different deadlines. I have to get stuff out than other boards. Master plan steering committee, I'm not sure what their deadlines are.
Was it, it wasn't streamed?
It should have been.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Yeah, it should have been. I know.
I didn't see it on there. I'll
so
look
it must be
again.
on there.
Yeah, because also if you're on our city page, oftentimes the thumbnail will have the title meeting that will be not the same as the actual title. So you can rely on the actual title. And then also sometimes they'll do meetings either here in 200A, or if they're having a big crowd, they'll do it over at the mill. So they'll stream it, but it's on the mill's website instead of ours. So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. That's it?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Anybody have any comments on that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?